all the latest from the situation, the crisis that's unfolding in Nepal. Visuals on your screen are of chaos unfolding on the streets of Nepal. Nepal's finance minister chased and beaten up by protesters. Those are the visuals on your screens. The man running in front is the finance minister of Nepal, who was chased down the street by the Gen Z protesters, kicked and beaten up. Bear in mind, 7 ministers have resigned today. The energy minister's house has been torched. Ex-Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's house was also torched, and now these are the latest visuals on your screens are of the finance minister of Nepal kicked and beaten up, chased down the street in Nepal. We have Sachin Timilsana, youth leader of Nepali Congress, still with us. Sachin, this is now becoming a literal manhunt. Protesters are searching out the minister after minister and they want to get even. Sachin.
Yeah, they're going for manhunt, and it's been a very violent afternoon here in Kathmandu. And unfortunately, many leaders' houses have been torched, and I don't think anybody is control now. Yes. And
chaos unfolding on the streets of Kathmandu. The protests and the crisis intensifying. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli tendered his resignation and left Kathmandu via an helicopter, even as his house was attacked, vandalized and torched by the protesters. Protesters also torching the house of the energy minister. But on your screens now are visuals of the protesters chasing Nepal's finance minister down the street, kicking him and beating him up. Several buildings have been set on fire by protesters today, including the Nepali Parliament building, the Hilton Hotel in Kathmandu, and the houses of the Prime Minister and other political leaders in Nepal. Anger on not just the current regime, but across all political parties. Nepali Congress leaders' houses being attacked as well. But visuals on your screens now are of the Finance Minister of Nepal, who was kicked and beaten up on the streets of Kathmandu today. Bear in mind, 7 ministers, apart from the Prime Minister, have already tendered in their resignations. Nepal is set for a huge political churn, even as the situation continues to develop. The Nepali army has evacuated most of the ministers already. Bear in mind, the Tribhuvan International Airport has been shut down. All flights to and from the airport have been cancelled. The army has been deployed at the Tribhuvan International Airport for security purposes. We have Sachin Timilsana, youth leader, Nepali Congress, with us on the broadcast. Sachin Timilsana, these are disturbing visuals. It's the finance minister of Nepal who's been chased down the street and kicked and beaten up. It's a manhunt that's going on in Nepal at this stage.
It is, and I'm not somebody who condones violence, and I don't think this violence is going to take us anywhere. But the glimpses were there, how poorly the government handled yesterday's protest, brought in all the raise, all the anger, all the frustration, and this was on the cards. We're scared of this, and these leaders, those are sad visuals coming on your TV right now. But that's the amount of rage that people have against these leaders, and this is not built in one day. This is a result of this has been a result of constant ignorance of people's aspirations and their demand for fairness and good governance. And it's pretty sad. I mean, the finance minister being kicked and manhandled, but the raise was there, and unfortunately it has turned out to be evident in this manner, and I'm not actually surprised.
But you're not surprised, you're saying, simply because it's the anger that's been building up for so long that you always have been aware of. But the fact of the matter is that the army has now evacuated most of the ministers from Bhesa, from wherever their residences are. In that sense, right now, it is the entire political class that's there under attack. Ministers of the current regime or the regime that's falling as we speak, who are under attack. And apart from that, you have all other political parties' leaders also getting torched. The Hilton Hotel getting torched. The airport is shut down. Talk to us in terms of, where does it go from here? Because as you've been telling us that there is no one single nodal point as far as these protests are concerned. They developed organically online. But how does one get things under control? How do you expect the military, the army to now take control of the affairs in Nepal?
Now, sadly, the demand from the mayor, as I said, the mayor of Kathmandu has been the most legitimate, closest to the legitimate person so far to lead this mob, and people who were a part of this protest were inviting him to take the lead. He has written something today. There were rumors of him coming on the street himself, but he didn't. He has written a Facebook status a few minutes ago, and what he said is, he has urged the Gen Z protesters, and we don't know who the Gen Z protesters or who the leadership of the Gen Z protesters is. So when that happens, nobody knows whom the military or the last remaining.
Right. We also have Abhijit Adhikari, Gen Z protester, joining us now live from Kathmandu. Abhijit, thank you for being with us. As we speak to you, Abhijit, we are looking at the visuals of the Finance Minister of Nepal being kicked and beaten up on the streets of Kathmandu. Talk to us. Where does the protest go from here? The entire cabinet seems to have resigned. The Prime Minister has resigned. The Prime Minister has evacuated and left Kathmandu as well.
So, thank you for inviting me. Let me start from the beginning. Actually, this protest is not actually organized by a single leadership or single structure. In this protest, there were multiple groups with multiple demands, and in one of the group, I was also active in one of the group, and our demand was simple, that the old leadership should retire, and corruption should end in Nepal, and social media should be unbanned. That was our demand at the first, and we were on the peaceful protest. We were not inside of any kind of violent movement or any kind of we were not the group of the mob, but the protest, and we also asked for the police to put the barricades, and but sadly there were very less number of police officers there, and it was like even the government and the police, they all were planning for some kind of discrediting the moment. So they first allow people inside, getting inside the restricted zone, and they start firing and killing people. And after that, I was in touch with a few credible politicians from last evening. I told them multiple times that they should take the lead, they should ask for the resignation, and even I asked that for Nepali Congress leaders that they should at least they should at least step outside from the government, but they didn't listen. But now the mobs are not stopping at any point. And the situation has been out of control at the right moment, at this particular moment, except for Conservative Forces leader. All other political parties leaders are being targeted, and their house are being burned. Also the public institutions and public buildings are getting burned down, which is very sad to hear. We didn't want this kind of protest. We are not in support of this kind of protest. So do you have any other questions?
Right, Abhijit Adhikari, the only question here is that, for now it looks as if all the anger has been justified, and it has resulted as well in action. You don't have the regime anymore. There needs to be a new regime in Nepal. We're only hoping here that the violence ends, the arson ends, the vandalism ends, and normalcy returns to Nepal at the earliest. And here's hoping that the Gen Z protesters ensure that they scale back their protests or calm down the protests and keep it free from violence and vandalism and arson, and ensure that their demands are met more than anything else.